pressure. Gave it to, no, he kept it. He's going to get a first down or more. 20, inside a block at the 10, to the 5. Touchdown, Dillon Gabriel. You thought I gave the ball away. Looky what I got. Home, 6 points, touchdown. Tie ball game, extra point coming up.
Jerry Allen on the call. Dillon Gabriel with the whoop. The +1 run game came into account for both of those teams. Will Howard making his legs a threat. Dillon Gabriel made his legs a threat, especially on that 27-yard touchdown run. Dillon Gabriel, the Big Ten Offensive Player of the Week. He played outstanding, and I think a lot of the concerns of Dillon Gabriel in the red zone, the low red area, the interceptions, 3 in the last 2 games, about as clean of a game as you can play if you're Dillon Gabriel against a team of that caliber. You know, going 23 of 34 for 341, 2 touchdowns, and then with his legs on the ground, again, a 27-yard touchdown run. Hell of a day for Dillon Gabriel.
He made some plays for sure, and his mistakes didn't come back to bite him. And that's the thing, is that in those kind of games, yes, you have to make the plays, but you have to make sure that the mistakes that you make aren't the crippling kind, and that didn't happen. Like I said earlier, in the first half, Gabriel had multiple times where he could have taken off and run, and he didn't, and I was like, you're going to have to. I get it. You're small, you're 5'11", you're maybe 200 pounds soaking wet, and you don't want to get hit. Like, I get it. Like that front seven for Ohio State is massive, and you don't want to get your quarterback dinged up by those guys. But you got to take off. You've got to find a way, and he hit the one that mattered. He took off, took it to the house, and that really, I think, ended up being the difference in the game.
I think if you look at the offensive line and the way they have played, I think it's 4 straight games. They have not allowed a sack, a clean pocket, a lot of time for Dillon Gabriel to throw, and it made a big difference. And I thought the offensive line, again, was lights out in that they leaned on Ohio State. And usually when Oregon has lost these games in the past, it is up front, the opposition leans on them. And you saw in the first half, Oregon outgained by Ohio State 122-73 on the ground. In the second half, Oregon outgains Ohio State 82-19 on the ground. That final drive, Oregon was looking to milk as much time as they could. They got the ball with 6 minutes left on the clock, and they handed it over back to Ohio State under 2 minutes to go. A 4-minute, 15-second drive.
1:54, I think, when they got the ball.
It was a drive that you want to hang your hat on. Would you have liked to get 6 instead of 3?
Sure.
Absolutely.
But you're up and you put the pressure on them.
And that was as impressive as it gets. And I thought both Will Stein and Chip Kelly emptied the clip. Who'd have thought Chip Kelly, the master of the spread, playing 53 1/3 across, making you defend all the way across the field, would come out under center T formation.
Yeah.
What?
Get three backs in the backfield.
Yeah. Stein comes out, and they knew, and this was the thing, we talked about this last week, Ohio State's secondary is as good as they get. They got 3 Sunday dudes. And when you have safeties...
One of their draft stock has gone down.
Yeah. When you have safeties, Denzel Burke got burnt, baby.
I joked on Twitter, I don't know if you saw this, and people thought I was serious. I was like, is that a linebacker covering Tez? Because the way that he got beat on that seam, he looked like a linebacker. Like the way he flipped his hips, he was so stiff. He was stumbled out of his break, and then the closing speed was nothing. Tez just ran away from him. Yep. And I just went, oh, God, he got cooked.
But Stein, knowing when your safeties can guard like corners, putting Tez in the slot does not create the mismatch that they've had in weeks past. He starts Tez in the backfield. And and to do that, when you're still spreading the field, and you have running backs that are receiving threats. So Jordan James goes out and he splits out wide. They're going to move a safety on him. Will Stein was creating mismatches to where a linebacker was going to have to defend Tez Johnson out of the backfield. That's an advantage.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, nobody went hook and ladder with their offensive linemen.
No.
Like Ben Johnson with Penei Sewell this weekend. But
No. But you create as many mismatches as you possibly can. That was incredible. Everybody, and I mentioned this last week, Evan Stewart's biggest game for Oregon was in a 3-point win over Boise State. He went over 100 yards. I thought both Evan Stewart and Trayshawn Holden were primed for big games because one of the reasons why Dylan Gabriel is targeting Tez Johnson so much is because he's the first read when you're going short to deep. And if the first read's open, you take it.
Yeah.
Right? Well, the first read wasn't always open. Evan Stewart made his presence felt.
And he's that deep threat who's going to be the dude, and he was. He was incredible.
He was outstanding. Trayshawn Holden, not as outstanding.
Oh, buddy. Look, it doesn't make him the worst human being, but you spit on somebody, you're... My whole policy on this is if you spit on somebody, whatever comes back your way, you earned it.
Look, that was a...
You did it to a guy with a visor on. Of all, like...
right in front of an official. It was a... Look, that's as boneheaded of a mistake
that's
as
as
you can
bad as it gets. I mean, the only thing worse than that is if you cheap shot a guy after a play.
And it was right after he had a big catch, too.
Oh.
He had a 32-yard catch on that drive. I mean, the jawing back and forth, it
That
was
happens,
at an elite level.
Yes.
But you have to hold your... You have to have your cool. You have to hold your own. And that's going to be one where everybody out here, all the fans could say whatever they want. You know, us, we can say whatever we're going to say. The big one is, how do the guys in the locker room feel? How does that coaching staff feel? Because those are the guys that are going to hold him the most accountable.
Oh, he's
right?
going to run.
Because one of the given. But here's where that was so much more punitive than he even thought or anybody would think, because Kyler Casper was out with an injury.
You're already short.
I thought Justice Lowe played outstanding. He's a guy that is a rotational player. He doesn't get a lot of run. You always like to see local guys have success. And Justice Lowe, I thought he had 2 blocks, one in the screen game, one in the run game, that led to big gains. And Trayshawn Holden, that was the big thing for me, is Trayshawn Holden and Evan Stewart, they're nasty on the outside. They take a lot of pride in blocking on the outside. And I was like, if you're going to pop any big runs, like Trayshawn Holden not being there is a big factor.
Yeah.
Not just in the receiving game. It was a big factor he's a factor in the run game. And so that was discouraging to say the least. I mean, and he knows it. Everybody else knows it. That was doing that in front of an official, doing it at all.
Doing it
in front of an official. The moment, the magnitude of the game, wow.
And the dumbassery to do it to a guy with a visor on. It was like...
Or the guy can just point and be like, no, it happened.
Yeah, here you go. And he did. He looked at the ref and went...
Yeah, and then just wiped it off. I mean, that was not his best moment.
As a young idiot myself, I did appreciate his apology. I thought that it was like he took complete and total ownership of it, and I don't think you'll ever see him get to that point again. It's very clear that he's one of those players that plays on the edge. Like, that's what makes him so good. And unfortunately, in this one, he was a little too keyed up and went over that edge. Not to excuse anything, but when you own up to it in the way that he did, I think that you will see him become a better player, but also a better person.
Like I said, it doesn't make him the worst person on the face of the planet. In that moment, he's a a bleepity bleep, and he deserves everything that kind of came his way.
Boy, that guy feels about as bad as you can feel.
Because that could have been the difference in the game.
Yep. If you don't know his apology, we need to get to that. I want to sincerely apologize for my actions during our most recent game. My actions were not only disrespectful, but a betrayal of the values of sportsmanship, integrity, and respect I strive to embody as a student athlete. To my Oregon family, I'm truly sorry for letting you down. You've shown the importance of teamwork, discipline, and respect, and my actions in that moment did not reflect the core principles I recognize that has negatively affected our team's reputation, and I deeply regret putting us in that situation. To Ohio State, I offer my sincerest apology for my behavior. It was completely unacceptable and a momentary lapse of judgment. I want to emphasize that this incident does not reflect who I am as a person or the values I am to uphold. Moving forward, I am committed to making meaningful changes, not only in managing my emotions during competition, but in setting a better example for my teammates and the broader community. I'm determined to demonstrate growth and maturity both on and off the field, and I hope I can earn back the trust of those I've let down. This incident has been a valuable lesson, and I'm dedicated to becoming a better person, teammate, and a positive role model in our community.
He definitely wrote that.
Yeah. That's the apology.
Uh-huh.
Put out by Trayshawn Holden.
Good for him.
Yep. That was a big mark in that game, and it could have had disastrous implications. As it is, I thought the offense, that's about as good of a performance that you can.
Yep.
That's a defense. I don't care who they played, 6.8 points per game.
Mm-hmm.
They moved the ball on them to the tune.
Damn near 500 yards.
Nearly 500 yards. That's a team that has only given up like 260 per game.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was an impressive performance by Oregon's offense. That's a complete win. And for all this shoulda, coulda, wouldas that we've seen, you mentioned this a couple of times. What is the category Oregon lost? They had more total yards, more passing yards, more rushing yards, less penalty yards. They were better on third down, won the turnover battle. Time of possession they lost. Ohio State possessed the ball longer. Outside of that.
And a lot of that was accrued in the first half.
Yeah. A red zone efficiency, 5 for 5 for Ohio State, 4 for 5 for Oregon. I mean, time of possession, red zone efficiency. That was it.
Yeah.
This Ohio State team is really good. I still mean it. I said it in the spring after their spring game. It's the most talented roster, in my opinion, in college football. I still believe it. Oregon won the game. The crowd made a difference. It was at home. If we get another one of these, sign me up. If it's neutral field, sign me up. I think you had two heavyweights going toe-to-toe.